welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a 12-hour challenge inside of Unity, actually. I've actually not really used Unity that much, and also it's really windy out here, so let's get back inside and start this challenge. Also, by the way, I did download Unity and get a basic scene set up, but other than that, we don't have much planned other than trying to get a game that I have, see how much of it I can get done. Anyways, let's go. Okay, so here is my potentially overambitious plan to actually get done. Okay, so the first hour actually started out going really well. I got all the assets imported into Unity, other than quickly I realized that the textures were not showing up properly. As in, the colors were correct, but nothing else really was. As a result, I ended up spending a long time trying to fix this, and by the end of the first hour, I ended up finally getting the roughness to show up on the potato. Which means I was already behind schedule because I was going to fix the rest of it. Luckily, since I did already do the other potato, I at least knew the process, which basically involved baking a whole bunch of textures in Blender and then adding them over in Unity and applying them and then changing a couple material settings, but that was really all it took. Unfortunately, this process actually took quite a while, and by the time I finished, I was down 3 hours. Okay, so next up, now that I had everything inside of Unity, I really wanted to get the character control actually working inside this little game. And in order to do this, because I had no idea how, I looked up some tutorials and actually found a very nice set of videos by a university professor that decided to leave it public. And what was really nice about these tutorials were that they worked on Mac. They had a way to actually do it, which most of the time, it uses Windows, and it's a lot of loopholes to try and figure out how to do it on Mac, so this was really convenient. I'll definitely have a link in the description. Unfortunately, by the end of this next hour, I ended up not really having an idea of how to get it in my scene because I had a lot of errors. Though on the bright side, I was actually learning Unity a little bit better. I could even move around the scene with WASD, which yes, I could have done in Blender, but it was cool to actually figuring out the movements and how to actually utilize Unity at least a little bit. But with those errors, I decided I was first going to follow his entire tutorial, so create a new scene from scratch, and then just follow it and see if I could get it working in VR, and if I could, then I was going to come back to this scene. That was the plan anyway. Luckily, after a decent amount of fiddling, I felt it was actually good enough to actually try in VR. So, I ended up getting the headset, and I found out that I actually had to get it in developer mode, and once I got it in developer mode, I found out I could build and run it inside of the headset, and here's what it looked like for me. Okay, so it was definitely a very basic scene that I created from that tutorial that I followed, but hey, I was super excited to actually be able to walk around and like teleport inside this basic scene that I had created. Granted, it did have this weird circle around the vision when you actually walked, which I didn't really know how to fix at the moment, but I ended up fixing it later down the line. But this was actually really cool and showed that I could get it working inside of VR. Next up, I just had to figure out how to get my potato scene in VR. So crazy enough, this was actually already a little over halfway through the 12-hour challenge, and I definitely did not have what I originally set out to have at this point, but I did finally get into VR, so I knew I could get it eventually. Now, with jumping back into PotatoAtor, I did end up getting it working in VR, and pretty quickly too. It took only like another hour to get that set up. Once I got it actually set up and working in it, my height was actually really low to the ground, so I first had to fix this, and this took like another hour, and once I got that working, I ran into an issue where all of a sudden everything stopped working, which I had no idea why. I tried using ChatGPT to help me fix it, then I tried finding tutorials online, and eventually, after another 2 hours, I finally figured out that I just had to reload all the assets. This was extremely annoying, but I did get it worked out and was able to use it inside of VR again. Somehow after all of that, I was left with only an hour and 13 minutes to try and implement a flicking feature. Unfortunately, I didn't actually get that done, though I did have ChatGPT help me create a script to try and do this, so at least I got a little bit of coding, I only kind of coded it, but yeah, there was that. Anyways, let's hop into VR and show you what I actually did accomplish during this 12-hour session. Dun 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 dun! Here is PotatoAtor in VR. You can see this is what I was working on. You can see how I can move around. Everything works. There's a weird janky movement, like if you use that. Some reason most games have that, so I left it. And you can see that here's the potatoes. Unfortunately, the flicking motion didn't quite work. This controller should work, but yeah, I guess I'll have to work on that in future. But yeah, you can see here's like wildlife wobble over there, and if I go over here, you can see like a cactus I made and all the models, the PotatoAtor VR screen, and my shoes, lizard, and trebuchet. So yeah, very basic in here right now, but hey, at least I got it in here in VR. It's actually really cool. What's kind of funny is with the collider right here, you can actually walk up and kind of make your way up. And if you look up right here, like kind of duck down and stretch, you can see that. Hidden little Easter egg. But yeah, here is it in VR. The potatoes are really big. Pang, pang. Also, I'll probably make the height a little bit higher so that you aren't super small. Do 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 do. And stop. So yeah, that was PotatoAtor in VR. Granted, it is definitely not complete, and I've definitely got to work on it some more, but overall, I think it's a pretty good start, and actually, honestly, I'm not disappointed with it. Even though I had a larger schedule, I'm not surprised I didn't get it, because yeah, that was one of my first times using Unity, like the first time actually creating anything that wasn't just a full tutorial, because I created a short a while ago, and that was pretty much all I've done in Unity. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!